The scene is set within the Black Orchid, still on the night of the Elysium. Within the stage room of the Black Orchid, John Stanhope sits on the plush sofas, watching a mortal violinist perform for the assembled crowd. John's ghoul appears next to him and whispers in his ears that some new arrivals have arrived in the Elysium. Having been done with most of the presentations, he cannot be bothered to return to the throne room and simply speaks to the servant and says that if any late kindred wish to speak to him, they can find him here. Well, he paid for these goddamn performers, and he's going to enjoy the music.
He's the best. Sorry.
Eventually, the performer finishes, takes a bow to a scattering of applause from the few people watching, and makes their exit, and the curtains close. John sits back and awaits the other kindred who are waiting patiently.
Laird opens the door and he ushers in both Chloe Brothers and Mortimer Fitzgerald.
Come, don't stand in the back.
She'll motion to the guy next to her.
Sort of unused to the customs and not wanting to presume anything. Once he has been essentially given permission, Mortimer Fitzgerald will approach and take a deep bow before the prince, doing his best to hide the stress that he has recently come under, which will be discussed at a later time. But for now, he says, "Good evening, Your Majesty. We've met before, but I thought it would be better to introduce myself properly as according to the customs."
Mr. Fitzgerald. Greetings, I am done with presentations for the evening. I am actually enjoying the party which I have organised. But feel free to sit down. Is there anything I can help you with?
Not at the moment. I am still getting new to the city, and I've yet to meet the Toreador Primogen, but other than that I have seen a few others of my clan around. Thank you again for your suggestions about where I may find them. Without it, I fear I would have been completely lost in this new city.
Of course, secrecy is our first priority. Without the community helping one another, we'd never find each other. Have you partaken in a drink at all this evening?
Not yet, actually. I've had other things on my mind, and, well, you know, as he definitely does not appear as composed as he was when you first met him. He'll just smile and shrug it off as just the grandeur of this Elysium event, although it is far, far into the night, and he'll say, "I've just been absorbed in this lovely, lovely casino. You must tell me who it was who designed this building. I must say, New Sarum has some of the most unique architecture that I have seen."
Actually, well, you are a little mistaken. This isn't the casino itself. This is another building within Uptown called the Black Orchid, originally owned by my... He grimaces a little. Foster sire, I suppose, or sponsee, or some nonsense. Clarity Orchid. The architecture itself was built by Arthurius von Hunsbuck of my clan within the early part of the 17th century. Unfortunately, it has had few incidents within it and has been redecorated via staff. Believe me, if I was decorating this, I wouldn't put in a techno room or what the hell do the kids call it? Pop music.
I admire the classics myself. This place undoubtedly obviously has an air of brilliance to it, of royalty, majesty, if you will. It
Yes, sir.
is a delight to be here.
I'm
I
glad.
look forward to future Elysians.
John nods, and Jeffrey comes in. He has various drinks on a tray. He places it in front. He passes 2 glasses to John, one empty and one, well, 2 empty, and he starts to fill one. John takes the drink, swishes it around his mouth, and then spits it out into the empty glass. This one will do. Mr. Fitzgerald, please indulge. I'd like to see your opinion on this. I call this silks and satins. It's a particularly smooth beverage. Something quite unique I created for this Elysium especially.
Oh, you don't say. Well, I have had some very good luck tasting recent vintages. Perhaps my streak will hold, and he will graciously take the vitae that is offered, and he will try to attempt the same trick that he used at the Looking Glass and use Auspex 1, heightened senses, to try and decipher which mortal's blood this actually is.
Certainly, perception, alertness. DC, what's your, because I did watch that scene. What is your Auspex rating?
It is just 1. I have
Okay.
the bare minimum for Auspex. It's well
That's
rounded.
fine. So that means it's at -1 difficulty, so difficulty 5.
Yes, but I do have the -1 dice pool because he's still unnerved by the terrible visions, which I'm actually going to make a video after this one about. So
it's 6 because it cancels out. Yeah. Okay.
okay, so that's perception.
Or no, it's not 6.
alertness.
It's 5 with one less dice. Sorry.
So, yeah, so it's 4. But the difficulty is...
The difficulty is the same, but you get 1 less dice, is the way you phrase that.
Okay, so difficulty 6?
Difficulty 5 because you're heightened senses.
But 1 less.
Excellent. Oh, no botches. That's really good. 3 successes.
You can taste that this particular vintage is from what must be a Mediterranean mortal. The diet itself is of luxurious spices and herbs, very spicy food like curries, and washed down with very rich wine. You can tell that this particular vessel is a very charismatic, very beautiful person. You can tell it is from a female. John smiles as you appreciate the textures within it, for it is a very complex vitae. It begins with a smooth richness, almost tasteless, and then as it falls down to the palate, the spices and aromas of the vintage bubble forth, covering the palate before sliding down, leaving a wonderful length to the taste.
As Mortimer drinks from this vitae, he does it definitely more different than he sort of drank the vitae last time. This time he savors it with all the grace that he can afford given his handicapped circumstances at the moment, trying to exude that toreador bravado, almost making it an artistic statement unto himself as he tries to embody the concept of refined taste in a minor, very minor way, trying to impress the prince with his own gravitas, I suppose. Whether or not he's successful, though, remains to be seen as he goes, this is fantastic. I must say, I've only been here 2 nights, but this city has some of the most unique vitae that I have tasted. Is there a special market in the city that I'm unaware of?
Well, yes. I'm new news to the city. You would not be aware of the story of my rise within. I started my illustrious career within USERP as what did the Gango call it? A Vitamancer.
Ooh.
I harvested and
As you
created.
start recounting the story, like Mortimer's attention just like goes completely to you, as though the other vampires and the ghouls in the room just sort of fall away as the spotlight falls on Sans hopes for the story. Actually, I think he's going to have to roll to avoid getting fascinated, since this is actually his curse. The Toreador rule is going to be...
Cool. I'll let you roll that while I monologue.
Actually, it's just willpower, right?
It's self-control.
Self-control, that's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Oh crap, I have to roll 2 for this because of... Oh man, this flaw is brutal. Difficulty 6?
Yeah.
Oh, thank goodness, 2 successes. He just sort of shakes himself, so he's able to actually appreciate it than getting absorbed by the story.
I made my career within USERP, crafting vintages for all tastes. The Venture are particularly picky with their vitae, but we have the most refined palates. Apart from the Toreador, of course, who are already always appreciative of fine art. It took many decades of my unlife to perfect, and has always been my little niche within the city. People appreciate quality, and if there's one thing we all share, no matter of clan, sect, age, or background, it is the blood.
That is a spellbinding story. Your rise to power is almost indicative of the whole American dream. It is somewhat of a cliche, mind you, but to truly earn your way to the top, to forge yourself an empire, it is tantamount to the idea of the Ventrue. It is, I must say, it is an honor to hear such a compelling tale. I'm not sure if I've told you, but I am very fascinated by the motivations of people. It is my particular fascination. My sire used to say that to know why anyone does anything is to stare into the window of the soul itself.
I think you'll find your career particularly difficult in kindred society, Mr. Fitzgerald. Many of us do not like to indulge how we got to places. They're not good stories a lot of the time.
Well, whether or not the story is grim, fair, gross, or bland, a truly good story is one that will be told again and again. And I am willing to bet that your story will echo throughout the ages, my prince, as he'll bow his head.
He quirks a nose up at your comparison to him and the American dream. You can tell that he doesn't really think much of this new world. But he'll certainly roll a perception empathy on you when you start buttering him up. Flash his own specs. 1, 2,
Ooh, nice.
3. Are you being sincere, or are you deliberately being a sycophant? Are you toadying to him, or are you actually sincere?
In this instance, he is being sincere because you are actually telling the story of your origins, and it's his fascination to understand the motivations behind people as if they were characters in the story. It's indicative to his character to be drawn to the motivations why people do things. Because for Mortimer, life is essentially one gigantic story. I mean, the vampires are crying out loud. The aura of disbelief is completely removed from him, but what you understand from him in this role is he is being honest. He truly is compelled by your story.
If you enjoy stories, Mr. Fitzgerald, stay a while. I would like to introduce you to a tradition that one of my old mentors introduced to me. but we cannot do it ourselves. It is a game that is needed in company.
A game, you say? Well, this is getting interesting by the moment. I would be honored, my prince. But I'm sure I should not keep up all of your time here.
No, no, this is my relaxing time. This is my social time. I'm done with announcements and Princeton's. I'm here to socialize. If you wouldn't
And as you
mind
wish.
me speaking a little bit of business with the other applicant first, and then we will get on to the game. He looks over, stop standing at the back, and come join us.
All right, and with that, Mortimer will again bow and do as he was instructed to.
Chloe will come forward and she will bow before now Prince Stanhope. Hello again, Prince.
Ah, Miss Brothers, a pleasure. Please join us.
Laird also walks up and he bows to the prince and smiles before taking his seat opposite of Chloe.
How are you keeping, Miss Brothers? I don't believe I've seen you since the casino.
Poker game.
Hmm.
And sadly, I had to leave early. I had business elsewhere suddenly pop up. I have been pretty good, actually. Besides a few little downhill dips, I have a permanent residence, and still looking for a job, actually. Do not have an official job yet.
What is exactly that you do, Miss Brothers, for your talents?
I'm a courier.
We've had a courier in this city. Have you heard the story of Soggy?
I don't think I heard that story yet, actually.
Soggy was a bicycle messenger courier, a Nosferatu of, well, genius in his own way. He went to the courts and acted a complete fool, just a simple bike messenger. But from what I hear from my coterie mate, he was the most respected Nosferatu underground, ancient. And as I got to know him for the brief amount of time which I was entitled, he spoke of wonderful stories of the Dark Ages, of the Renaissance. He was old beyond compare, but the court had no idea. A courier can do well in this city. Messages and information is vital to this city, and sometimes the older amongst us appreciate a handwritten letter more than these abominable text messages.
Yes, I didn't use a bike in my official courier days. I was very into just using my own 2 feet and sometimes my hand. I'm a free runner.
I apologize. What does that entail?
Parkour, it's a lot of agility, jumping, lots of running. I wish I had like videos to show you so you can see, but it's just very agility based and dexterity based ways of moving about, especially if you're within a bunch of buildings, lots of alleyways where you have a lot of footholds, handholds, so you can climb, jump, roll, tuck and roll.
Sounds exhausting.
Not for me. I had quite the experience behind me to help me with it.
I'm afraid the days of free running weren't in my youth, and he takes his cane and taps his leg, and a metal sound gets, and I will never partake in such a thing, unfortunately.
I apologize.
No, I've had plenty of years to get used to it, Miss Brothers. Trust me, but doesn't mean I can't appreciate.
But that's how I actually met my sire in Boston. I was running a parcel, and I noticed that somebody was following me. And so I thought nothing of it. I thought they were just taking the same route also until they were continuing to follow me and getting closer and closer. He tackled me, grabbed the parcel, and pretty much said, "Don't say anything, and you'll live." And, of course, this parcel was paying for my rent, and so my life was literally in his hands, so I jumped up and I smacked him and said, "Give me back my parcel." And apparently he was going to meet up with somebody to embrace later on that night, and instead chose me for, how do you say it, a fiery, badass spirit?
That does sound very brouhaha. And since then you have been doing similar, I suppose.
Turns out the package that I was running was actually werewolf information going in between different Glasswalker corporations. And for the next 7 years with my sire, we continued doing so just to keep track of Guru activity.
Sorry, Miss Brothers, Glasswalker?
They're a Guru clan that are very tech savvy. And they're into the big corporations. There's a corporation in Boston, I believe New York. They're almost in every single major city.
That is disconcerting.
I haven't heard of any in this city, so I think we're good here.
Well, if you find out, please tell me immediately. We don't want the beasts running around in our domain.
Oh, I know what you mean. It's not fun.
No. So, would you wish to carry on your career as a courier or expand to a different field?
I would like to. I would like to stick with information. Information has always been my currency. I was under wardship. I am under wardship from the Tremere. I was introduced to Primogen Brodianus, and he helped me in a few tight spots while I've been staying here in the city, particularly when I was staked.
You were staked?
Yes, I was staked.
Who staked you?
Robert de Valo. I never get this right. De Valo. He's a French Toreador.
Yes, I met him. Didn't much care for him.
He thought that I had ratted him out to somebody, and of course I didn't. And because I found him screaming curses into the air in the middle of the red light district about Javier Rojas.
That Rojas.
Laird just sort of shakes his head a little bit.
Yeah, and Mortimer just has his heads in his hands and just...
Yeah, his experience with Rojas the previous evening was not a friendly one. So
No. Mortimer is seriously doubting the sanity of the other Toreador in the city by the hour as more stories come in.
Well, Miss Brothers, if it's any consolation, I haven't seen Robert present himself. I will make sure that if he shows his face in the Elysium, that he is punished forthwith.
Thank you. Honestly, that's in my opinion, That's a better answer that I got from my own primogen.
Really? I'm surprised that Mr. Creed wasn't chomping at the bit and smashing up his wonderful coastside hotel.
Devin tried to. I've heard this story. Devin tried to have them make peace, but I believe that he was busy with other affairs at the time. He glossed over this a little bit much. And from my understanding, the stakist, as we'll call him, really hasn't had to answer for this, and it was completely unwarranted, sire.
Well, if he doesn't appear in Elysium for the next week, then he'll have more problems than that.
Thank you.
Well, Miss Brothers, as it appears that Mr. Creed has retired early this evening, I suppose it should be my responsibility to inform you. If you wish to accept, myself and your primogen have had words, and we both believe that the position of Bruja Harpy might suit you.
I'm still learning the vernacular of the city. Can you please remind me what a harpy is?
Of course I can. A harpy within the European court started as a non-official position. They were the keepers of status within the city. They were the popular crowd, I suppose, if you liken it to those god-awful school teen dramas that I have been forced to watch. They tell you who's in and they tell you who's out. They're the bankers of boons. They're the ones that whisper in the corners who can ruin someone's reputation with a bad word. In New Sarum, we take a more classical approach, something that is called a court harpy. It is the harpy's role to not only gather boons and play the status game, but also to be the mouthpiece of the court, to be the eyes and ears, so we can discover what our subjects are speaking of, and to relay information. It is a position of great opportunity and power within the city, but great responsibility. For your main responsibility will be for the city, and not for clan.
Well, then it seems like I've already been doing that.
Well, in this case, Chloe, if you accept this position, your wardship with the Tremere would be over. You would be granted status and
Okay.
freedom.
Where do I sign?
Just simply accept.
I accept.
Excellent. Congratulations, Miss Brothers. Your peers within the Harpy community are Mr. Brehon for the Ventru, Mr. Darkstone for the Gangrel, Mr. Schmidt for the Tremere. Have there been any other Harpies called, Mr. Brehon?
Not yet, as of yet, sire, but there are members with potential. I do think that Megan Maitland, even though she's new to this city, with her skills of research and gathering information, might be an exceptional choice for the Malkavians.
Perhaps. She seemed a little quiet and flighty for... But
She's obsessed with safety. I've noticed that about her, but I think that's also a reason why she's maybe a sane choice. She doesn't have a more uncontrollable or unpredictable tick, we'll say.
well, once the Harpies gather, I know the Toreador need to make a new one, decide amongst yourselves who you believe is most capable to lead, and they will become Master of Harpies. It will be responsible for all of you to share information freely between yourselves and relay that information to my court and to me personally, so I can discover what's going on, and so therefore if there's any trouble in the city, any conflict or any outside threat, we can respond immediately.
Okay.
I'm sure Mr. Brehon will fill you in on the details.
Of course.
Anyway, have you two dined this evening?
I had a little before I came here.
Have you had the
Honestly.
pleasure of my particular beverages, Miss Brothers?
I wasn't able to at the poker game, and I was hoping that I was able to, but of course business came up. So I would love to, if you're offering.
Of course. Please help yourself. I have made some specific beverages for this Elysium. I think you will enjoy... what did I call it? Sweet candy? I have some others for more obtuse tastes with like energy drinks and alcohol and this, and one with a mild sedative as well, usually good for some of the more raucous brouhaha. But this one is something a little different.
Okay.
The ghoul pours you a glass and pours John another glass. He takes it and swirls it around and then spits it out into the other glass. Ah, yes, I remember now. This one is a pure innocence, a real treat. I couldn't believe it. A born-again Christian, a young virginal girl, Irish of stock, but don't let that hold against you. She was rewarded for her 20th birthday to go to an ice cream parlor, all you can eat. And she filled up on sweets, ice creams, sauces, and caramels just before she gave blood very generously to the betterment of the city. And you can give that sweetness, that purity, that palate-cleansing feeling.
Okay. And she'll take a drink, let it saturate her mouth, and locate all those innocent tones, the different flavors of the ice cream parlor, and then she'll swallow finally. Well, that was an amazing feeling. Thank you.
Thank you. It is so very hard to get dessert vitais. I've been trying to make chocolate for years, but... Now, let us not talk of business anymore. I understand that you are in good stead with your clan, and I understand where you wish to go. Mr. Fitzgerald here was speaking of stories earlier, and it reminded me of a better time within the city. If you ever get the chance, there is a bar owned by the Nosferatu called the Cellar Bar. It was owned by a mentor of mine named Mr. Morgan. Mr. Morgan had a wonderful tradition. He would gather kindred together, I think it was once a month or once a fortnight, and each kindred would take it in turn to tell a story. A story about their lives, or fiction, or something they've been thinking of. And we all sat down and enjoyed ourselves. I would like to respark this tradition in small sense.
That sounds wonderful. If you'd like, I could volunteer a story first.
Oh, please do, Mr. Brown.
Well, it's a funny story. When I was growing up in Brooklyn, you know, I often think about what Brooklyn used to be. You know, you were talking about innocence. My grandfather was a policeman. He actually was an immigrant. He came over from Ireland to Ellis Island, and despite our family name being a bit hard for people to pronounce, he kept it kind of stubbornly. And he became a police officer. He did just a straight beat cop. He wasn't anything fancy, but I do remember nearly everyone in our neighborhood always seemed to be baking things because he would find ways to help people out, little things, not just fighting criminals or anything, but he would help people with their pets, or he would help old ladies across the street, that sort of thing. So my mother would always tell me these stories about how, in any given day he would come home and he would have not just groceries, but he'd have a cake from somebody, or he'd have donuts that somebody had made, or and it was always something sweet. And because he was a single parent, he doted on her, but she had a rebellious streak in her as well. And my father, of course, was maybe not the brightest bulb in the chandelier, but when I was growing up and my grandfather passed away at this point in time, what was very funny was those very same people in the neighborhood seemed to load her up with the same kind of confections after they found out that she was trying to raise me alone. So it's funny. I very strongly feel it takes a village to raise a child, in a sense, I guess is what I'm trying to say. There's a wisdom in that, and maybe there's something to be said about this fund you've put together. It's something similar to my mind, and I applaud it, honestly. It made me think of that time growing up.
I do hope that this adage will be able to do it. The problem with kindred, I find, is self-interest often takes hold.
Yes.
I'm surprised no one petitioned for use of this fund. But then we'll see what happens in the next Elysium. I am sincere when I say that I will put my own money and resources to whatever kindred, as long as it is a sensible request. I see no problem with helping the community get back on its feet.
I agree. I guess in a matter of speaking, it actually really warmed my heart. Mortimer, you're an author. You've got to have stories.
Oh, a ton, but I'm not sure if I could contend with the stories. I mean, I'm already still fascinated by this story of a staking that happened. I mean, this is unprecedented. Like, I must write down your gripping story. This is something that all of the kindred should read about. I mean, but I digress. That is not the point of this tradition, and I do not want to steal you of such a marvelous tale, especially when you are able to triumph over such adversity. No, I think I will go with an old favorite of mine. Something that one of the first stories I wrote after my embrace. I must warn you that I was still new and sort of enamored by the concept of the Toreador, so this might seem a little self-congratulatory, but I trust you. This is one of my few pure gems. It is the story of why the rose is the most precious flower. And it goes like most fables go, with once upon a time. Long ago, back when there was no cities, men were nothing but animals. And in the forest had its own lords back then, before men were able to craft tools and harness fire. Back then, the mightiest of the lords of the forest demanded that the flowers of the land would hold a contest, and whichever one was the most beautiful, he would name the most precious flower to all the animals and all the creatures in heaven and earth. And so all of the flowers then wanting to become the most beautiful flower, they bloomed with colors never before imagined, mixes, shades, and hues, enough to tempt the eye of the Lord. And so the Lord went around to each individual flower until he finally came to the rose, which only bloomed in the color red. And when he went to pick it, he pricked his finger on a thorn, to which he asked the rose, I asked you to become the most beautiful flower. Why would you hurt me? And it said, the most precious thing in the world you must bleed for it. And to which the king saw the wisdom in the rose and decreed that that is why it is the most beautiful flower, because the things that are most precious to us are the things we bleed over. I told you it's very self-congratulatory to the Toreador, but
It is a wonderful story. You can see that the prince is trying to hide it, but it actually that's provoked something within him, and he sort of trails off a little. Yes, well done.
again, he's starting to sort of panic now because he doesn't know quite to make out Stanhope's response and tries to say, I was still very young back then. Perhaps I should have gone with a non-fiction story. Don't worry, next time I'll have a much more engaging one.
Morty. I think that was the right story. I don't think you could have picked a better one.
Oh,
No, it
well,
was beautiful.
oh, I'm honored, Princess. You'll bow again. Oh, this is turning out to be a fantastic night. He sort of relaxes now.
Laird leans over to John and he says, perhaps we might look into something for Morty to do for this city. After a few nights from now when he's more settled in. I'm actually letting him stay at my place at the moment. But I'll pick his brain a bit over the next couple of days. Maybe there's something that we can come up with to bring to you where he would be well suited for a task.
Well, I've already entrusted Mr. Fitzgerald to spread his fingers into the media.
Oh!
Oh, yes. Speaking of which, I wanted to clarify, my prince. Are you looking specifically for mass media, or do you want it to be amongst a particular type of annoying kind? Because I know that the majority of the media nowadays is more interested in the obvious story. They're interested in sensationalism. That would be a piece of cake for any of us to manipulate, but there are a few out there who are particularly nosy. I was wondering if you wanted any clarification on who exactly I should target for their liability.
It is not my field of expertise, Mr. Fitzgerald. I will allow you to use your own judgment. As long as the court can use it to the benefit of the masquerade, I will trust your judgment.
Very good, then. I shall not fail, my prince.
Miss Brothers, did you wish to regale us with a tale, or would you prefer if I went?
Sadly, I don't have any sweet childhood stories of my own, or any stories that my parents told me. But the only one I do know is what my sister went through one of the families she was with in the foster system. We were separated when everything went to hell for my family. I was here over in Boston. She was in Washington still. They kept her in the area. And so I got a letter. I only had one letter from my sister, and she described it as the best day she ever had because we just hid from our father most of the time. They took her to a zoo for the first time. My sister was only 5, and she was describing to me all the animals, the tigers, the lions. She loved the giraffes, especially when they got to feed the giraffes. And she just wished that I was there to enjoy it with her. Her family, she described them to me. She had a older sister, but she said that she was nothing like me. She didn't know all the right stories to read to her. She liked the Dr. Seuss books. didn't braid her hair the right way, didn't hold her hand while they were walking to school, but the people were nice to her. And through all the things that I was going through, that is the letter that kept me going, saying, okay, my sister is okay. And I also learned recently that as soon as she was able to, she started looking for me, started tracking me down through all the families I had to go through, which ones I went to next, and she actually made it to Boston. But I was already here in New Sarum, and I guess she almost caused some trouble asking about for my name, and my sire found her, and so now she is in the care of my sire, and I plan on making a trip to go see her soon. See my sister after I don't know how many years.
Is she one of the blood, or has she been ghouled?
She was embraced by my sire as well, so not only are we blood sisters, we're now immortal blood sisters, I guess you can say.
That is poetic. Siblings who are able to spend the rest of their lives together. It must be hell for birthdays now, but I mean, how do you end up trying to outdo each other for all eternity? But then again, I suppose at least you won't be lacking of things to do. That is an amazing story of overcoming adversity. I'm very happy for you.
I just wonder. You said you had to smack your sire over the package. You were fighting him over the. I wonder what she was fighting him over when he decided to embrace her.
I will ask her that. No, I'll ask him that. I'll make him admit what she had to do. Because honestly, she's the fiery sister. She's the little sister I had to protect from my dad. She would try to run into the fights and say, leave mommy alone, and dad would try to turn on her, and I'd push her out, like, stop it. Yeah. So I'm a little curious myself. It'll be interesting to see what happened.
Well, do not hesitate to bring your sibling here. I think we all will enjoy seeing your counterpart.
I will see what I can do.
What about you, sire? I'm sure whatever story you have to give us.
Well, it depends on what story you wish to hear. I can speak of one of the tales my grandsire told me. I could speak of my adventures within the courts of Europe. I could speak of the time in New Sarum when I became human.
You became human?
What? Yes, let's hear that story.
Yes, it was about a month or two since I was released from Lady Orchid's service. I began in earnest my blood business, working within the clan, meeting fellow kindred. It was at this time that the city was plagued by a kindred of the East, known as Kuei Jin.
Kuei Jin? I've never heard of such things before.
Neither had I. It was a complete mystery. Apparently, from those older than wiser than me, they are our counterparts within Asia and the East, with strange powers that I did not understand. I was in the bar I mentioned, the cellar bar, when one of them attacked. The floor crumbled away. It seemed to make an entire earthquake. and myself and the rest of the guests were plunged into the sewers where we were trapped by this creature, a Hontan Lee. He was a strange being, one of who wore a green suit and giggled like a child. His mentality was very odd and strange. He took down our eldest in a matter of seconds and circled around us. We were only a group of neonates and fledglings at the time. And so we started to use our wits and challenged him to a game of truth or dare.
My God.
Eventually, we were allowed to leave using this particular rules of the game, for he lost dare. But one of the dares I had to do was take his embrace. And when his hands were put upon me, a strange light and feeling emitted throughout my dead bones. Before I knew it, I was mortal again. I could feel my heart beating, the blood rushing within I could feel that it was cold, that I was in pain. The ache in my leg returned, and then agony as my leg reformed out of nothing, and I was made whole again, mortal and whole. After the initial shock and the clan whisking me away, let me tell you, it was ecstatic. Drinking wine again, eating take-out Chinese food. I think it was the only thing open at the time. But I got a lot of wine in me that day. I used to be a sommelier back in my mortal life, and I did enjoy wine. The simple things you forget, like going to the toilet. What a bizarre concept. Like biting the inside of your cheek, like snot and spit and all these other gross human evaluations. It was maddening. Indeed, I couldn't bear it at some points. You forget how emotional mortals are when you live for quite a while. A constant maelstrom bubbling away within them, setting off from one thing to another. At some points within the hotel room in which I was confined, I'd find myself weeping at the flowers for no apparent reason, or laughing hysterically at the audacity of it all.
I think that's really you describing the nobility of your soul, in a way. I mean, it's not just weakness to feel things, sire. It's your heart we're talking about here.
Ah, Mr. Brahon, if only it lasted. You see, not only do the emotions come back, but the conscience. As you say, the soul, perhaps it is tied into the flesh, I am no philosopher. But I will not hesitate to tell you I have done some evil things in my time. Some evil things. And as I sat there at the bar, speaking to the ghouls that were made to look after me, getting drunker and drunker with this wine that I was enjoying, it all came back. And at that point, I would have given anything to end it. And I did. I took that broken glass and I slashed it across my throat. I let my mortal blood slip into the ash, onto the floor outside the bar, and I felt my life draining. But it was not to be, for I was saved by an angel. And here I am today. Still the cold, evil monster that I was. Wiser, perhaps, but very unchanged.
Sire, I do not think of you as evil. I think of you as weathered. Have you ever seen someone who can play guitar with formed calluses?
He nods.
The skin on your finger, it dies, but it smooths over and it protects what's underneath. Maybe you've had to do horrible things in order to survive. Maybe you've had to take upon yourself tasks that others maybe were too weak of will to take in order to do what is right, in order to obtain the position that you've obtained. But I've yet to see you do anything truly unjust. I see someone who cares about what is just, innately. You have great dignitas, sir. And I feel that most artists are their own worst critic, maybe?
Mr. Brehon, your words are sweet, and I appreciate them. But you do not know my history and what I have done. And it is not
Nor do I pretend to. Nor do I pretend to. I've seen you since you've taken this position do things that inspire. And I know personally, and you see pain. If you were to roll perception empathy, you see great pain in Laird's eyes when he says this. I know personally what it's like to regret your own actions. The hardest thing anyone can do is find the courage within themselves to forgive themselves the sins they've committed.
I apologize. It seems my story has brought the mood down a little.
No. It hasn't. You see Laird smile kind of effortlessly, and he looks over at the others and he says, I think we all should thank the prince for his time, and he's had a long evening.
Is that someone hovering outside the door?
Nope.
No? Okay. Shame. Well then. I will retire for the evening, but please feel free to enjoy the Elysium. Tell more stories. It pleases me that neonates come to this city and recycle some of the things that brought me pleasure when I came to this city. Good evening. And the prince will step out.
Mortimer will bow his head as it leaves.
Laird just smiles at him. It's a genuine smile. And then he looks to the others. Shall we? What were you going to say, Morty?
Mortimer was going to say, I can see why
We
you
shall.
follow him, Laird. He is truly a prince. And I agree with you. Any man who is able to willingly look and see the beast inside, is still human enough to fight the beast.
He is a
Only
great...
when the man and the monster become indistinguishable from one another that they are truly lost.
No, he's not there. He just... Imagine trying to carry the weight of the city on your shoulders alone.
Heavy is the head on which rests the crown.
Right. He doesn't have to any longer. Camarilla will be strong in this city again.
And I am very proud to be able to be a small part of it now. It seems that my choice to coming to this city is for the best after all. I mean, this is Naito, and I already have been able to find ample inspiration.
You know, Morty...
Speaking of which...
Oh, you go.
Please continue. No, I think I've talked enough for now. Please Continue, my friend.
Well, I was going to say, you're coming back to the gym tonight, right? So tomorrow, let's talk about, media. And see if we can pick brains.
Yes.
Hash that out.
Yes, I do need to.
Chloe, would you like to come to the gym sometime soon to talk about harpies and, our various duties, et cetera, et cetera?
Just let me know when.
Okay, cool. I got your number. And the scene ends.